The rumbling sound of motorcycles shattered the stillness of the Maplewood neighborhood in Ohio. People looked up, then froze in place. A group of bikers, clad in black leather, their helmets gleaming under the harsh sun, slowly came to a stop right in front of an 11-year-old girl's tiny lemonade stand. Layla Carter stood behind the counter, spoon still in hand, her gaze uncertain. Her mother, Renee, watched anxiously from the porch, her heart pounding. Neighbors peeked through their doors, speechless, unable to look away. No one knew why they had come, and no one dared to guess what would happen next. But it was in that moment, amid the confusion and caution, that something unexpected began, and the neighborhood would never be the same again. Layla Carter was an 11-year-old girl who lived with her mother in a quiet neighborhood called Maplewood, Ohio. The neighbors here knew each other like one big family, and Layla was always the beloved child, admired for her cheerful, intelligent nature. This summer, she decided to set up her very own lemonade stand in front of their cozy home, with the goal of raising enough money to join the school trip to the Cleveland Zoo. Her mother, Renee, was always there to support her daughter in every project, but this time, she let Layla take the reins. "I'll only help you a little bit," Renee said, watching as Layla carefully selected fresh lemons and measured sugar to make the perfect batch of her favorite recipe. The lemonade stand was set up under the shade of a large tree in front of their house, with a soft, pink sign that Layla had painted herself, boldly proclaiming, "Layla's Famous Lemonade, only 50 cents. She had spent the entire previous evening decorating it, drawing cute lemon and heart shapes around the words. This was her first ever business venture, and Layla felt incredibly proud of her hard work. On the first day of the stand, Layla stood confidently behind it, watching the cars pass by slowly, hoping someone would stop and buy a cup of lemonade. Renee stood on the porch, smiling at her daughter, though she couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. "You've got this, Layla," she encouraged. A few neighbors stopped by, complimenting Layla on her delicious lemonade. Some even generously left tips. With each drop of sweat on her brow, Layla felt even prouder of what she was accomplishing. She thought of the exciting zoo trip ahead. Just a few more dollars, and she would have reached her goal. As Layla focused on pouring the next cup of lemonade for her customers, a strange sound began to emerge, faint at first, then growing louder, like the rhythmic crashing of waves against the shore. It was the roar of motorcycle engines, loud, growling, shaking the peaceful air of Maplewood. Layla stopped in her tracks, her eyes turning toward the end of the street, where sleek, black motorcycles started to appear. The procession slowly rolled by, each bike a sturdy shadow, gliding across the bright blue sky. A gust of wind blew, making the Layla's Famous Lemonade sign gently sway. The Harley-Davidsons, their shiny metal frames gleaming under the sun, came to a halt right in front of her stand. The sun was directly overhead, its rays reflecting off the black leather outfits of the bikers. The engines fell silent, and the air suddenly grew still. All that remained was the soft rustling of the leaves in the gentle breeze. Layla stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Her mother, Renee, stopped on the porch, her gaze filled with worry. Neighbors began to take notice, with some even peeking through their windows, trying to see what was happening. Then the first bike came to a complete stop. A middle-aged man with weathered skin, a silver beard, and a scratched black leather jacket stepped off. He removed his helmet, revealing a strong face marked with deep lines, but with a kind, resilient look in his eyes. Layla swallowed hard, a feeling of unease rising in her chest. The man walked up to the lemonade stand, his eyes locking onto Layla's. She tried to hold his gaze, but her hands and legs began to tremble. "Is this the place with the best lemonade in town?" the man asked, his deep voice commanding yet warm, like the engine that had just fallen silent. Layla panicked for a moment, but managed to answer, "Yes, sir. My lemonade is just 50 cents a cup." The man chuckled softly, reached into his jacket pocket, and pulled out a crumpled dollar bill, handing it to her. "I'll take 2 cups, he said, then turned to look at the other bikers. Another group of bikers began to remove their helmets and step off their bikes. Their black leather jackets adorned with tattoos and strange symbols, heavy rubber boots, not the kind of attire Layla had seen in the animated shows she loved. They looked at her, but no one spoke. The silence in the air made Layla's heart race, as though she were standing in the eye of a storm. As Layla began to pour the lemonade into the cups, the engines roared again. The voices of the bikers murmured, and unfamiliar glances filled the air, all of it creating a tense, alien atmosphere. Her mother stood back, observing but too hesitant to approach. Everything seemed frozen in time. Then, a gentle voice broke the tension. When another biker, a woman with long braided hair, walked up to the stand and placed a $5 bill on the counter. "I'll take 10 cups for the whole group," she said with a wide smile, her voice warm yet firm. Layla couldn't understand what was happening. Why had this group of bikers chosen her lemonade stand? What did they want? She felt short of breath, trying to remain calm, but inside, a storm of confusion and anxiety was brewing. As Layla poured the lemonade into each cup, her hands trembled, but she struggled to maintain her composure. The atmosphere felt heavy, but something was gradually changing. The bikers weren't just buying lemonade. They were starting to chat, laugh among themselves, making Layla feel that something wasn't quite right. A tall man, with a dragon tattoo on his arm, stepped up to her. He looked at the cup of lemonade in his hand, then turned to Layla, his voice warm. "Hey, kid, your lemonade's really good. I've had quite a bit, but never anything as good as this. Did you make it by hand?" Layla looked up at the biker, her heart starting to lighten. Despite his rough face, the tattoos, and his strong gaze, his voice was filled with warmth. She smiled softly and replied, "Yes, I made it all by myself, but my mom helped a little." The man smiled back at Layla and walked toward his group. Another biker, a tall woman named Cassie, came up and placed a $5 bill on the counter. She looked at Layla with an expression of deep respect. "We'll take 10 cups for the whole group, kid," Cassie said, her voice gentle yet firm. Layla looked at her, her eyes brightening, as her confusion slowly faded away. These bikers weren't just ordinary customers. They seemed to be sharing something meaningful with her. "Thank you, Cassie." Layla silently thanked her in her heart, though she still felt a bit puzzled. But then something truly special started to unfold. The bikers began to chat comfortably with each other, and one of them, an older man with a silver beard, turned back to ask Layla, "So does this job make you much money, kid?" Layla shook her head, a small smile crossing her lips. "No, just enough for me to go on the zoo trip." The man nodded slowly, watching Layla for a moment before speaking again. "I had a daughter who used to do things like you. She liked making snacks in the summer, selling cookies, lemonade, but she's not here anymore." Layla's eyes widened. A sense of sadness seemed to hang in the air, and she suddenly felt that these bikers weren't strangers at all. They all carried stories, painful memories that Layla couldn't fully understand yet. But in this moment, she could feel their deep empathy. "She was about your age," the man continued, his voice slow, heavy with emotion. "But when I see you doing this, I see my little girl in you.
Thank you for giving me a piece of memory of her. My girl would be very proud of you."
Layla felt a lump in her throat. The words of the biker seemed like a farewell to a distant memory, a sad story no one ever wants to forget. Renee, Layla's mother, stood from a distance, her eyes filled with worry, but also compassion. And so Layla and this group of bikers began to grow closer. The bikers started smiling, sharing funny stories, and even one of them told tales of their youthful adventures. Laughter filled the air, and the tense atmosphere from earlier had turned much warmer and more comfortable. As Layla handed out the cups of lemonade, the older biker with the silver beard placed a $20 bill into the tip jar. "Thank you so much, kid," he said to Layla, giving her a gentle pat on the shoulder. While Layla was packing up and counting the tips, she had no idea that these bikers would give her an unexpected gift. Cassie approached again, pulling a helmet from one of the bikes and passing it around to everyone in the group. "Just put the money in here," Cassie said. "We'll help the little one out." The clinking of metal rang out as coins and crumpled bills were dropped into the helmet, each person contributing a little, many adding larger bills. Layla stood frozen, her wide eyes unable to believe what was happening. When the last helmet came back to her, Layla looked up at the helmet, now filled with money she never dared to dream of. This is, how much is this?" Layla stammered, her voice shaking with emotion. Cassie smiled kindly. "Enough for you to go on your trip, and still some left to help others." Layla was speechless. She stared at the helmet full of money, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She realized that today wasn't just an ordinary day selling lemonade. It had become an unforgettable moment in her life. Layla stood frozen, the helmet full of money placed in front of her. Everything was happening too quickly, and she couldn't fully grasp it all. These bikers, people she had once thought of as rough, intimidating men, were being so generous and kind. But there was one moment, one story that Layla could never have imagined, that left her speechless and deeply moved. As Layla stood there, surrounded by tips and the helmet, the biker with the silver beard, the one she had first met, slowly walked toward her. He looked at Layla, and this time there was no smile on his face. Instead, his gaze was pensive, profound, as if carrying a burden that was hard to share. "You did well, kid," he said, his voice hoarse but gentler than ever. Layla smiled awkwardly, but inside she felt a strange sensation. "Thank you. But could you tell me your story?" she suddenly asked, her voice cutting through the silence, surprising the biker. He didn't answer immediately, instead staring at the cup of lemonade in his hand, as if searching for a way to begin his story. A few other bikers had stopped and turned to look at him, and Layla could feel the silence between them. A silent respect. Finally, the man spoke. "Kid, my name is Jim. Do you have a girlfriend?" Layla nodded. "Yes, I have a friend named Mia." Jim smiled sadly, then continued. "I had a daughter. Her name was Amelia. She was just like you, always laughing, joking, and wanting to help others. She sold cookies and lemonade in the summer, just like you. But she's no longer here." His words hit Layla's heart like an arrow. She fell silent, feeling the pain in each of his words. She passed away a few years ago," Jim continued, his eyes clouded with a sorrow that was hard to describe. "A car accident. A vehicle hit hers when she was on her way to school. And since then, my life hasn't been the same." Layla swallowed hard, her heart tightening. These were not the words she had imagined when thinking about bikers. But this story, Jim's story, was like a mirror, reflecting the deep pain he had carried all these years. "She had a dream, a simple one. She said that one day she would open her own cookie shop, her own bakery. But now, she'll never get that chance." Jim laughed softly, his voice breaking as if he couldn't continue. "Jim, are you okay?" Layla asked gently, not knowing what else to say. But inside, she knew that this question was perhaps the only comfort she could offer at that moment. Jim looked at her, his expression softening. "You're like her, kid. She had a big heart, a big dream. And today, when I look at you, I see her living again in you." Jim placed a hand on Layla's shoulder, then turned to his biker group, signaling for them to get ready to leave. The others in the group stood silently, saying nothing. But they understood that Jim's words had been enough to bind them all together.
"Thank you for showing me a piece of Amelia's memory," Jim said, his voice now gentle, no longer as hard as it had been before. "Thank you for reminding me that even when life pushes us down difficult paths, there are still beautiful moments, small acts of kindness that can make us feel hopeful."
Jim took the helmet from Layla, the one where everyone had placed money. He smiled at her one last time before leaving. "Thank you, Layla. Today I didn't just give you a little money. I thank you for helping me find a bit of my faith again." Layla stood there, a lump in her throat that she couldn't put into words. She looked at the helmet, filled with money, but in her eyes the greatest gift Jim had left was his story. A story of love, loss, and boundless kindness. That feeling, the overwhelming emotion in her heart, made Layla realize more clearly than ever what she was doing, and the power that small acts could have in changing the world. As the biker group drove off, Layla remained frozen, still holding the helmet full of money, unable to believe it. It wasn't because of the money. It was because of Jim's touching story and everything she had just witnessed. She felt as though she had opened her eyes to a different world, one where kindness could overcome all prejudices, where strangers could become friends and help each other in unexpected ways. When the last of the bikers' motorcycles disappeared down the street, Layla and her mother stood silently for a moment, as if trying to hold on to the magic of this moment. Renee looked at her daughter with pride, though she couldn't hide her astonishment. "I can't believe they did that, Layla," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "This isn't just a regular lemonade stand day." Before Layla could respond, she heard hurried footsteps from down the street. A car pulled up in front of the stand. It was Carlos, the owner of the local hardware store, a man always busy but known for helping everyone in the community. "Hey, Layla," he called, waving at her. "I heard the story about your lemonade stand. Heard about those bikers, huh? They're really something." Carlos got out of his car, holding up a $20 bill. "Thank you for showing us that there are still a lot of good things in life. Let me pay for 2 cups of lemonade, and you keep the change." Layla looked at him, warmth spreading through her. It wasn't just money. It was recognition, a connection with her neighbors, people she'd never expected to have such a meaningful conversation with. Just as Carlos was leaving, another group of parents and children arrived, curious after hearing about Layla's biker-approved lemonade stand. Neighbors peeked out from their windows, and a few couldn't wait to rush outside to try the famous lemonade. Within less than half an hour, the small Maplewood neighborhood had become a lively place. People didn't just come for the lemonade. They wanted to hear the story of the bikers and their kind actions. Some asked Layla about her upcoming trip, while children her age gathered around her, asking how she made the lemonade and how she had attracted the attention of the bikers. The neighbors didn't just come for drinks. They shared their own stories. A mother named Melissa told Layla about her son's lemonade stand last summer, which hadn't been as successful as Layla's. Despite that, she encouraged Layla to keep chasing her dreams, no matter the obstacles. Layla's emotions were hard to put into words. There was a slight confusion, but more than anything, there was excitement and joy from connecting with everyone. She realized that it wasn't just money, but the love and empathy from those around her that truly mattered. As Layla continued serving lemonade, her mother helped the new customers. The small neighborhood was slowly becoming a real community. People, moms, dads, and kids, laughed, talked, and shared their own stories. The kindness of the bikers hadn't just changed Layla, but had spread to everyone around her. When the first group of people had left, Mr. Harris, the local grocery store owner, arrived at the lemonade stand. "What's going on, Layla?" he asked, surprised but clearly happy. "This town wouldn't be the same without kids like you. I just want to say, we'll always support you." Layla couldn't believe what was happening. She looked at her mother, and Renee, too, felt proud to see everyone coming together for a common goal, supporting Layla and the goodness she had brought to the community. In a brief moment, Layla realized that help doesn't always come from the places you expect. A group of bikers had given her a lesson in kindness, generosity, and, more importantly, had changed how she saw the world around her. As evening approached, the atmosphere became even livelier. Layla looked at the helmet filled with money, and then, unable to hold it in any longer, she felt a rush of emotions fill her heart, a sense of appreciation and deep gratitude. It was a day she would never forget, a day when everyone in this small neighborhood had become close friends with one another. Less than an hour after the bikers left, the roar of motorcycles echoed through the street again, this time louder, catching the attention of the whole neighborhood. Layla looked up, her eyes bright with surprise. The bikers had returned. The shiny Harley-Davidsons reappeared, parking along the sidewalk. The bikers dismounted, not just a few, but a larger group than before. It seemed they had returned with a new mission, and Layla could feel the shift in the air. At the head of the group was Jim, the man with the silver beard, whom Layla could never forget. This time, not only was he holding his helmet, but he also carried a box of delicious-looking cookies. "Hello, Layla," he smiled, his eyes no longer heavy, but much warmer and more at ease. "We couldn't leave without doing something more special for you," Cassie, the female biker from earlier, said with a wide grin. "We thought about coming back with some gifts for you, but after thinking it over, we felt that the support from the community is what matters most." Layla was surprised, but the worry in her heart gradually faded. "Why did you come back?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jim gently patted her on the shoulder, then turned to the others in the group. "You see, it's not just you who feels happy from this support. The whole neighborhood, everyone here is inspiring each other. I think we can do something bigger, an event to support the other kids in this community." Layla couldn't believe what she was hearing. Jim's words were like a light shining into her heart. The bikers weren't just here to support her. They were now thinking about helping other kids who shared dreams and aspirations like hers. Cassie continued, "We think that every month we should have a lemonade day. A day where every kid in the neighborhood can set up a stand, sell handmade items, and the community will come to support. All the money raised will go towards helping them join field trips, scholarships, or even fund other recreational activities." Layla listened, unable to hide her excitement. "Lemonade Day?" she asked. "Is this for real?" "Yes," Cassie smiled. "We'll start by helping you, and then gradually expand to help more children. Our friends will help organize the event every month, and everyone will join in to support, just like they did for you." Cassie and Jim's words seemed to spark a new fire in the community. The bikers, who Layla once thought could never understand her world, were now powerful sources of inspiration. They weren't just creating opportunities for kids like Layla, but also building a bridge to connect the entire community. Renee, Layla's mother, stood on the porch with a radiant smile. "Thank you so much," she said to the group of bikers, her eyes full of emotion. "Thank you for changing this whole neighborhood." Layla looked at the helmet full of money once again, but this time she didn't just see a helmet filled with coins. She saw a community coming together to build a better future for itself and for the generations to come. The bikers all laughed, and the atmosphere lightened, becoming more relaxed than ever. "We'll keep helping you and this community, Layla," Jim said. "And we hope that through days like these, we can inspire even more kids to understand that with help and kindness, any dream can come true." The next day, as the early sunlight bathed the peaceful Maplewood neighborhood, Layla and her mother began the day with an indescribable joy. The small lemonade stand in front of their house had become more than just a summer job. It had turned into a symbol of connection and kindness within the community. "You really did it, Layla," Mrs. Renee said, smiling at her daughter, her hand gently resting on her shoulder. "What you did yesterday was incredible. Not just because you earned money, but because you've changed this whole neighborhood." Layla lowered her head, looking at the helmet full of money that the bikers had left behind. But now, she didn't just see coins and bills. She saw the support and love from the community, the encouragement and trust people had placed in her. Those who she once thought would never understand her were now her close friends, helping her build a brighter future. That morning, Mrs. Renee and Layla spent some time planning for the upcoming Lemonade Day, the event the bikers had suggested. They decided that it wouldn't just be in their neighborhood, but could spread across all of Maplewood. The parents, families, and kids in the neighborhood were all excited and supportive. Lemonade stands would pop up everywhere, and people would come together to help children with dreams and aspirations like Layla's. "You know, I think this will be something really special," Mrs. Renee said, as they sat together in the kitchen, preparing lemonade while planning. "This isn't just about selling lemonade. It's an opportunity to build a stronger community, one that is always ready to help each other." Layla looked at her mother, her eyes shining with a new sense of belief. She had realized that sometimes big dreams don't always start from grand plans, but from small, heartfelt actions, like a simple lemonade stand. The next day, the Maplewood neighborhood was livelier than ever. Families began making plans for the upcoming Lemonade Day. Layla felt the sense of connection spreading everywhere. Children her age began learning how to make lemonade and preparing signs to attract customers. Parents were collaborating to organize the event, and the atmosphere in the neighborhood had turned joyful, friendly, and filled with laughter and support. When Lemonade Day officially kicked off, Maplewood became a vibrant picture, with colorful lemonade stands everywhere. Children beamed with smiles while parents helped, cheered them on, and bought lemonade. Layla, in her apron, stood behind the largest lemonade stand, where many customers came to taste the famous drink she had created. Under the shade of the big tree, Layla smiled as she saw the Harley-Davidsons of the bikers pull up once again. They didn't just bring fresh cookies, they also brought stories and words of encouragement. Jim, Cassie, and the other bikers had become close friends in her life. "Lemonade Day today is amazing, Layla," Cassie said, as she stood beside Layla, looking around the colorful neighborhood. "You know, we're really proud to be part of this. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Everyone coming together, helping each other." Layla stood there, holding a cup of lemonade, looking around. She thought about everything that had happened, from a small lemonade stand to a large event that connected everyone. She felt happy to be able to share this joy with others and help other children too. As the sun began to set, Layla and her mother sat on the porch, watching the neighborhood bustle with lemonade stands being served. Layla knew that she hadn't just achieved her dream, but had also brought about a positive change in the community. "Mom, I think we should make this event an annual thing, right?" Layla asked, her eyes filled with hope. Mrs. Renee smiled, hugging Layla close. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. We'll keep doing this. This is just the beginning." As evening descended and the lights in the Maplewood neighborhood flickered on, A warm and friendly atmosphere enveloped the area. The lemonade stands had been packed away, but the laughter and stories still echoed in the air. Layla stood beside her mother, gazing across the neighborhood, where the neighbors were no longer strangers, but close friends, united in building a strong community. "Mom, I think we've done something really special," Layla said, her eyes filled with pride and happiness. Mrs. Renee smiled at her daughter, feeling a joy she had never imagined. "Yes, Layla, it's not just the money you earned or the cups of lemonade you sold. The most important thing is that you've helped turn this whole neighborhood into a real family, where everyone is helping each other." Layla looked around, a warm feeling rising within her. She remembered the early days when her lemonade stand was just a small idea, with the simple goal of raising money for the zoo trip. But now her stand had become a symbol of kindness and sharing in this community. When the bikers returned for Lemonade Day, Layla realized something important. The people around her, even those who might have been strangers at first, could become agents of positive change. You didn't need to be wealthy or powerful to make a difference. All you needed was kindness and a willingness to share. Suddenly, Layla remembered Jim's words, the biker who had lost his daughter. "Today, I'm not just helping you with a little money. I thank you for helping me find a bit of my faith," Jim had said. She recalled the lump in her throat as she heard his story, and she understood that sometimes it's the simplest things in life that bring about the most profound changes. Each small act, like sharing a cup of lemonade, could lead to powerful transformations. Layla turned back to her mother, her eyes shining. "I want to do more, Mom. I want to help other kids who don't have the same opportunities I've had." Mrs. Renee looked at her daughter, feeling the passion and determination in her words. "You've already done so much, Layla. I'm so proud of you." Lemonade Day wasn't just a special day. It helped Layla and the community realize the power of unity, kindness, and sharing. She wasn't just a lemonade vendor now. She had become an inspiration to the whole neighborhood, to other children, showing that even the smallest actions could change the world around them. As Layla and her mother stood on the porch, looking at the other homes in the neighborhood glowing with lights, Layla felt a deep sense of connection. She knew that not only on this day, but throughout the journey ahead, this community would always be there for her, always coming together to create good things.